Just out of curiosity, are you between 0 to 100? What is the likelihood that you think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk and killed him?
Based on the evidence right now, I don't know. I'd say 75, 85%.
Candace?
0%.
0%.
I'm at 0.
So
with what we've seen in terms of the evidence, I'm at 0%.
0. There's been no compelling evidence that she's seen that leads her to believe, even at a probable cause level, more likely than not, that Tyler Robinson has anything to do with this. I find that one point amazing. But let's keep going because it actually gets more amazing.
Just to start with your point about saying that the gun was found near him, near Losey Center, or I guess off in the woods. That gun, did you watch the testimony? Did you watch the preliminary hearing?
Yeah, we covered it live. Yeah.
Okay, so forgetting what the summary of the medical report was, did you watch the testimony that was given by the Caitlin Oliver, the ATF woman, Samantha Carner, any of those people who went into the science of...
Yes, I recall. You're talking about...
The bullet analysis.
Yeah, when they went into the DNA.
Okay, so that's kind of the most relevant part.
Okay.
I'm not denying, I've never denied on my platform. When she gave testimony on the stand, Samantha Carner, that there was dust and there was debris that was found in the gun barrel.
Yep.
And then when we had the person who, and this was, I believe, Caitlin Oliver, who explained painfully about the DNA, the prints.
Well, let's start with a point at a time.
I'm not done. You said something, so I'm going to finish my thought, right?
You don't want to do a point at a time?
No, well, sure. If you want to respond to,
Well,
I want you to respond to 2 points.
debris.
I want you to start with 2 points.
Okay.
Dust and debris in the gun barrel.
Yeah.
Secondly, the fact that there were 5 sets of prints, 5 plus actually by the end of the testimony, 5 sets of prints for which we already had the woman who worked for the FBI forensics testify that above 2 prints, if you're taking a sample, it's no longer a science, right? She testified that when they took the sample of what was on the trigger, they saw 5 plus prints. And among those 5 plus prints, Tyler Robinson's was the most degraded. So I would like you to explain how Tyler Robinson's prints could be the most degraded when she said, actually, you could have DNA on something that you've touched. You could have DNA on something that you've never touched. And to get DNA degradation, they've looked at pieces, items 20, 40 years on that don't have degradation. Yet Tyler Robinson's prints, amongst 5 plus other prints, were the most degraded on that.
Oh, where to start? What she's talking about and what she's alluding to is that there were so many sets of fingerprints on this gun that it's hard to tell what fingerprint was there first, right? There's no timestamp when you have fingerprints. And if it's particularly in gun oil, some of those could remain for years. If it's just the oil out of your skin, depending on heat and UV exposure, as to how that could be degraded. But once again, she's saying that they couldn't pull latent prints from the rifle. Okay. She also says that the DNA was degraded, which many things can do that. Bleach can do that. UV light, sunlight, heat. There are many things that can degrade DNA. It is actually pretty fragile. But it's not untrue what she says, that we've gone back thousands of years from fossils and pulled from tooth pulp DNA that still remains intact, and sometimes you can get DNA out of a 1,000-year-old sample, and sometimes you can't. It doesn't prove anything. It just means one is still good, and you can make an analyzation out of it, and one is not. But she's hanging her hat on this as if that means something because there's multiple sets of prints on a firearm that's been handed down to 3 generations at least. Grandpa, father, and now son. It sounds like it's most likely a family heirloom. So it's not uncommon that people have touched this. It's not uncommon that people have cleaned that weapon with gun oil on their hands and left that impression, and that would be a more durable impression, latent print, than you would have with, say, the oil in your skin that can evaporate at even lower temperatures. Now let's go with the DNA, or back to the DNA. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything that these tests don't show Tyler Robinson conclusively have touched the gun. What it means, it's inconclusive, and I'm going to use that word a lot, inconclusive. Inconclusive analysis of evidence means one thing: nothing. It doesn't prove that the suspect did it. It doesn't prove the suspect didn't do it. It truly means inconclusive. And when it goes to court, that's where the jury will hear it. They'll hear inconclusive. You can draw no inference from that. But let's go on because she gets better.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
this was a portion of her testimony where she was explaining how they got elimination samples from the home. And she named Matt Robinson, Amber Robinson, and Lance Twiggs as the elimination samples that she was using. And so she explicitly said, some of them, so we can assume 2 out of the 3, were their prints were found on the gun. She explicitly named Matt Robinson as someone who had prints on the gun, and then said there were 5 people that they had taken that sample from. And again, what's also relevant here is the earlier testimony, which came from the FBI forensics analyst, I believe it was on day 2, where she said that when you're using those mixtures and those samples and you get up to 5+.
In that last part where it's hard to make a determination, yes, because there's not a date and time stamp on a latent print. I can touch something today and someone can come touch the same spot tomorrow, somebody the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and you have 7 latent prints. You can't come with any certainty in court and say that mine was the first. You can't tell that what order they were deposited, right? So that doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't matter whether when you're mixing these chemicals, none of that means anything. At the end of the day, it means the tests are inconclusive, except for one thing. And this goes against Candace, actually. You have the father's fingerprints on the gun. And I think she said the grandfather's fingerprints on the gun. This just shows the lineage of the gun. That means that this gun has been in control or in the hands of at least the father at one point, and their story, their further testimony, if I'm doing an investigation, their further testimony tells me that, yes, this was the grandfather's gun. I inherited it as the father, and I gave it to my firstborn child. It just shows that that gun came from the Tyler residence. And she's also going to make an inference as if, well, maybe the father, his fingerprints on the gun, therefore he's a suspect. Well, that's a very pedestrian way to look at it. You can't just go with, I got a fingerprint on the gun, so let me get an arrest warrant and arrest everybody's fingerprints that I find on a gun. It gets me started as an investigator. What I would probably do is check with phone records and witnesses. Were you at a restaurant? You got any ATM receipts? You get gas that day? What gas stations did you stop at, Mr. Robinson? And then I'm going to confirm that during the time of the crime, Mr. Robinson wasn't there. Daddy wasn't there anyway. But what's interesting is that another person that lives within that family also has access to that firearm, even though the prints weren't found on it, who did have time and opportunity to commit the crime, and that would be Tyler Robinson, who has never claimed that he was never at the Turning Point USA event that day. He's never claimed that he wasn't there. He just didn't say he's the shooter. So what do we have here? Let's draw some inferences that we can do legally. We can show that the gun came from the Tyler household. We can eliminate everybody that we find fingerprints on the gun, other members of the Tyler household. We can eliminate them by location, from their cell phone, went and got gas, met with a friend, made a phone call. There are many ways to put somebody down in a geographical location these days. The only person out of the Tyler family that had both opportunity and availability to commit that crime was who? Tyler Robinson. Regardless, at the end of the day, a jury of 12 Americans are going to make this decision. And we'll see what they say. I predict Tyler Robinson's going to be convicted of this. I believe the evidence is compelling. I think the defense dies the death of 1,000 cuts.
Follow, subscribe, and comment.
An incarcerated individual's use of institutional telephones constitutes consent, and your calls may be provided to law enforcement agencies.